Would you like to create more joy in your life? I think all of us are striving towards that. Every one of us wants to be happy. Every one of us wants to be positive. Every one of us wants to have that kind of life where we're happy, full of love, full of laughter, full of joy, positivity, everything that has to do with just being amazing, right? You can be a great boss, you can be a great team leader, you can be an amazing colleague. But if your relationships are not positive, are not healthy, the fact of the matter is that's going to really take a toll today or tomorrow. Hi everyone, my name is Serena. I'm your Girl Boss coach from Delhi. I help you inside out and outside in so that you can live guilt free. And here are 10 ways that you can create positive relationships to build more joy in your life. So let's begin. Tip number 1, be a good listener. You really want to invest your time with someone. And I mean that genuinely, because a lot of us might have money, but we don't have that kind of time to give. And giving time to someone where you're present with them, to listen to them, is something that's invaluable and it's priceless. Please ignore the external noises behind me. It's Republic Day, the airspace has just opened up and all the flights are now coming in. Moving forward, if you can give someone that time and listen to them with genuine interest, I think that will really help you create that joy because of the relationships that you are prioritizing for yourself. Tip number 2, being dependable. Extremely important for you to be reliable so that you follow up with all your commitments. If you want to have a positive relationships, trust me, this is something that is a very important key factor. You might have different emotions or feelings about each other, but the basic crux of the entire relationship is trust. If you can build trust, you can create a positive relationship, and that will create joy in your life. Tip number 3, communicate openly and honestly. You want to have a relationship which is transparent. You want to build a relationship where there is a safe space. You want to build a relationship where you can hear each other out and not get offended. And that goes both ways, right? If you are willing to build that relation with someone else, make sure that you are also holding the same safe space. You are also being as honest and you are not taking anything personally. Tip number 4, being supportive and encouraging when needed. Extremely important for you to know. When you want to help someone and the other person is not in the same zone or even the same page, it will become extremely difficult for you. People will not take your advice, not even take your suggestion, because you are not able to understand their perspective. And I'm not saying that they're talking about being in the victim zone. If they're in a victim zone, let them be in the victim zone. The day they are open and honest and in that zone to receive that feedback, give it to them then. But till then, just encourage them. Don't do anything else. Maybe they're not looking for a solution. All they need is a shoulder. All they need is someone who's present and willing to hear them out. Sometimes that's all that's needed. Tip number 5, be kind and respectful. Everyone has a different opinion. Everyone comes from a different perspective. Everyone has a different set of limiting beliefs, fears, and all the issues that they've grown up with. If you find yourself in a position where you do not match their opinion, their perspective, it's okay, right? You can agree to disagree, but do it in a way that it's constructive. Do it in a way that it's not demeaning. Do it in a way where you are not putting them down and they are not putting you down. It's important to recognize differences between people and be okay with it. If you want to have everyone, be painted in the same color as you, you will get bored sooner or later. Let me tell you that. So I want you to just be mindful of the fact that people are different from us. People have those different values and people can have something constructive to say. You might not agree with them and that's perfectly fine, but do not disrespect them and do not be mean. It's just gonna really make your relationship extremely sour. And if you are looking at the end of that relationship to create more joy in your life, you have to be mindful of your words and your actions. Tip number 6, showing gratitude. Extremely simple, extremely non-egotistical, and it's something that just comes naturally to you, right? Just showing gratitude for the fact that they are doing something more for you, for the fact that they give you more time, for the fact that they looked out for you, for the fact that they took out time to reach out, to call you, to message you, to get in touch with you, to remind you, whatever be the case. Just show some gratitude. You see, when you want to build relationships that you want to take on for the rest of your life, you want to have positive relationships, you definitely want to be extremely mindful and just genuinely just praise them. Just be thankful for the fact that they listened to you. Just be thankful for the fact that they told you to stay back. Just be thankful for anything and everything. It's going to create more joy for you. Let me tell you, I do this with everyone. I'm very thankful. I'm extremely grateful. And I don't need to constantly be in their face to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't need to do that. I can say it in a nice way for them to receive, accept, and be okay and acknowledge it, that I acknowledged it, right? Do you see, I'm just thinking about some instances and I'm just smiling from ear to ear. That's how the emotion works. You want to create more joy, you have to start being grateful. If I have to start being picky, I can be picky all day long. It doesn't create any kind of joy in my life, right? So I choose looking at things that I can be grateful for and I can show appreciation for. Tip number 7, take out time for them. Relationships are not built on money, right? They're built on the quality. They're built on the time that you give. They're built on the fact that you're present with them. They're built on the trust. They're built on all the factors I've shared up until now. And I'll tell you one thing. We were 22, 23. We had just started working, all three of us, friends, and we used to meet up every weekend. And we had this scene of meeting up every weekend. If we didn't meet up that weekend, if we skipped a weekend, we used to have conversations on the phone saying, how could we let one weekend go? It wasn't that we were obsessed. We just wanted to take our time. We were just so happy and crazy and, wanted to do random things and wanted to explore more. You always wanted to do something more with your friends where you build that kind of relationships, right? And the fact of the matter is, today's day and age, all of us have grown up, all of us have more responsibilities, getting married, have spouses, different timelines. It's a different phase. But I can tell you one thing. When I had the time, I could give it, right? Today, I know there is a limitation on time, but I do take out time as much as I'm busy to make sure that I spend time with the people I love and the people I value. So if you want to value a relationship, you really need to take out time. Simple. Tip number 8, be flexible. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I read maybe in a book or a quotation, I don't remember, and it said something like this. You must be flexible in life, simply because if you are too rigid, you're going to snap like a twig. When I read that, my mind just shifted because I live in a black and white dunya. For me, the areas of grey are very limited, and that is something that I have grown up with. That is something that I believe to be true, and that is something that I was not willing to change. For me, black or white. There was no area for grey. There was no trying. There was either doing or not doing. Today, I still have a lot of black and white, but I've managed to include grey in it so that there's more flexibility. You want to build relationships? Let me tell you, the fact that you are two different people and you're not the same, there are going to be differing opinions, values, perspectives, versions, all of that. You have to be flexible if you value that relationship, to make sure that you understand that there is a different area that they bring in, right, with their positives and their negatives, and you have to be okay with it. See, God has created you and the other person, right? If God is happy, if God is satisfied with the other person as God is satisfied with you, you are no one to sit there and crib about the other person just because your values or your thoughts don't match. Don't crib. Be flexible to understand that they bring something different to the table. They might have aspects that you don't have, characteristics that you don't have, or things that you are jealous of, whatever be the case. But be accepting, be flexible, and try to see what they bring rather than you being stuck up in your own thoughts. Don't be rigid. Again, you'll snap like a twig. Be flexible. So it's like, I think the example went on to say that you should be more like bamboo. Something on those lines. Tip number 9, extremely important. Empathy. I'm not saying sympathize. I'm telling you to be empathetic. That is a skill that you can develop and learn. Empathy requires you to move out of your zone. Your fears, your belief systems, your values, your upbringing, your perspective, your opinions, your concept of right and wrong are different from someone else's. Okay? For you to be empathetic, you have to drop all of that is yours and try to stand where they are standing. Only then can you be empathetic. And let me tell you one thing. If someone is looking to always be on the victim zone, always cry, always be sad, always say that why are things happening to me, and continue living in that hole, that dark hole, don't show empathy to them. You know why? They'll get irritated. They'll be like, you don't understand. तुम्हें समझ नहीं आ रहा मैं क्या कह रही हूँ. They're not going to appreciate it. The person who will actually appreciate it is someone who can see that you are seeing things from their side, from their vision, from their sight, from where they stand. And that actually builds more trust. So don't show sympathy to people, that's one. Don't show empathy to people who are in the victim zone. Show empathy to someone who is willing to receive. When you build trust with someone, showing empathy, let me tell you, you will create more joy for that person. That person will value you 10 times more than any other time. Because being vulnerable is a very sensitive state. Not everyone likes to be vulnerable, and not everyone is encouraged to be vulnerable. That's also another thing. Now, when you are vulnerable and you give the other person that safe space and you empathize with them, it really makes the world of a difference to the person. Let me tell you, I've been there. So make sure if you want to create more joy, you want to build more positive relationships, you build more empathy. And that's a skill that you can learn. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk about it later. But this is something that's extremely important. Tip number 10, be positive. Now I'll tell you about my story. There was an entire time and that phase and that, this moment in my life where I was going through a lot of lows. I was very irritated. I was very low, and I was someone who's always biting someone else's head off. And I realized more than anything else that my friends were just dealing with me always cribbing, always pissed off, always cheesed off, always irritated. I was a big wah, okay? Now, a lot of us are not recognizing or being mindful of the fact that we are being negative. The moment you start being negative, that slope downhill is very steep and very fast. Okay? You wouldn't even know it. If you are someone who's on that slope, I want you to take out some time, give to yourself so that you can start acknowledging your feelings and working on them. What you don't want to do is be with people, okay, with that sense of negativity and expect your relationship to bloom. That's not going to happen. One, you will not be able to create joy in your life because you're doing nothing about it. And two, people don't want to stay around negative people. It's as simple as that. You want to build relationships for long term. You have to look at positive things. And I'm not saying you have to look at every issue and think about it as, yeah, you know what, I need to look at the positive side of it and then say, but the positive side needs to be, the bar has to be that low. You don't have to set your life bars or your life goals at this level and say, oh, but I'm better than this, but I'm better than this. You don't have to do that. You just need to have faith. You just need to build on some more spiritual side, spiritual angles, so that you can feel a little more secure with yourself that God is with you. And you start looking at the positive side of it, or what you can control and what you cannot control. I think that as a reality check will help you come out of that phase. And again, that's what I'm saying. The entire basis of a relationship is based on the fact that you are positive. And if you are someone who's vibrating at a very high energy, people want to be with you. You are someone who's going to just attract a lot of people to you, and you don't have to be loud about it. When you vibrate at a very high frequency, you don't have to be loud. You just have to be present. And the fact that people just come who get attracted to you are getting attracted to that vibrational energy. So what I want you to do is build on that positivity. Build on the fact that you want to look at the things that you can control. Build on the fact that you want to be more grateful. You want to build that entire relationship on a positive front. So that's what you need to do. These were my 10 tips for you to build positive relationships so that you can create more joy in your life. Make sure you tell me in the comments which one was your favorite and which one you need to work on. Remember, building healthy, positive relationships require a commitment from your end. You cannot let the other person do all the work and you sit there and reap the awards. That's not how the universe works. You need to put in the dedication, you need to put in the efforts, you really need to put in all those factors of the 10 points that I gave you if you want to value your relationships in the long run. It's extremely important for you to recognize that you will be reaping the rewards of it later on in your life, not today. Today, you are committing. You are giving that dedication, you are giving that time, you are valuing that relationship today. And that is going to stick with you if you do it right. And with that, I can tell you one thing. You will create so much joy in your life that your entire year is going to be full of these amazing relationships. Make sure you check out the description box before you leave, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.